Their entire 4 years that they have trained for comes down to the temperature of that day.
Right? And like whether the wind is blowing a certain way. And yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not, folks, this is a podcast about books. Hello and welcome to OPL's mini episode series, The New Title Drop, where we share new titles coming out this month. I'm Angela and I'm here with Melanie, and we are both collection development librarians.
It is February now. The Olympics are starting. What is your favorite winter Olympic sport to watch?
I love them all. Like there's something about the Winter Olympics that I find so fascinating. I feel like it gets less airtime.
And they're so much more dangerous.
Yes, they're scary. They're so scary. I'm always worried about everyone. I'm always really impressed with the one where people ski and then they do target practice afterwards. I'm like, how do you breathe?
Is that the biathlon? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know the names. I do have to admit that I don't watch curling very much.
I can get into curling. It's like I can get into any of the sports as long as there's like a good piece about the background of the athletes, the story, to go in front of it and like tell me like why it's so important that the Lithuanian win this one, or like like give me those stories and that drama. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's the best part of the Olympics is like I've never heard of this sport or person before, but now I'm so invested.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to win. This is going to change everything. It's going to make the world better.
Right. Like this 1 minute that I now know about these people, like now my whole life depends on this. But yeah, I like them all. I like the hockey, the figure skating, speed skating, even some of the skiing. There's some heartbreaking stories with the skiing sometimes.
I love most of the skiing. It's just unfathomable to me, the things that people can do while just sliding. Like the
skeleton and the luge.
Yes.
Like, how do you practice that? How do you get into that? I want to know.
Also, it's like the summer sports I feel are not so impacted by the weather.
Yeah.
Like, because there's always like, oh yeah, the snow is melting, or they had to make fake snow last time. Just like, what? Like, this could affect
so many different environmental.
Their entire 4 years that they have trained for comes down to the temperature of that day.
Right? And like whether the wind is blowing a certain way and
Yeah, believe it or not, folks, this is a podcast about books.
It's true. And to kick us off, I have a book that is very related to that opening talk we just had. So my first book is called Skate It Till You Make It by Rufaro Faith Mazarura. Because it's February and because it's Olympics month, I thought it fitting that I talk about this sports romance. And what's even more exciting is that it's about one of my favorite sports to watch, women's hockey. So Ari is Great Britain's women's hockey team captain, newly given that responsibility after a teammate's injury. And now she's leading the team into the Winter Games while also trying to avoid her toxic ex. Drew is seeking a new start in life after a series of events that the description provides. He's uncovering a family secret, breaking up with his ex-girlfriend, and dropping out of graduate school. So yeah, just a few things going on in his life there. He ends up back in London taking up professional photography, and the two meet on New Year's Eve and then again months later at the games, where a set of circumstances lead them to decide to fake date, thinking that it will somehow solve each other's problems. And, I'm thinking we might be able to guess where this goes, but that's kind of the fun of the romance books. This is set in a few reviews to be a closed-door romance, so it's light on the spice. And if you like this one, the author has another book that is set during the Summer Olympics called Let the Games Begin. Author Aurora Pallett said, "I've never read a hockey romance like this before. It's vulnerable, gritty, and emotional." Mazarura has skillfully weaved together a cast of authentic and lovable characters that kept me turning the pages. When you're not rooting for the heartwarming romance, you'll be cheering for Ari as she unexpectedly steps into the role of captain of her hockey team at the Olympics. Skate It Till You Make It is a must-read for fans of the Olympics, sports romance, fake dating, and love stories that are impossible to put down.
What is it with hockey romances?
They're all the rage right now.
I don't even know.
Despite loving hockey so much, I have not really tried to read one yet. So I really need to, maybe I'll start with this one.
Yeah, I think also the whole, this would be a really smart way. Well, if fiction worked like real life, if you wanted to date someone, you could tell them you had to pretend to date them, and then you always fall in love.
There you go. Exactly.
That's the formula. You'd be like, apparently. I told my parents that we're a couple. You have to pretend with me. And then all of a sudden, yeah.
I am reading I am reading a fake dating that I guess he does play hockey. So it's a little bit of a hockey romance, I guess. Fake Skating by Lynn Painter, who's a local author. And she's written a lot of YA and adult books. I'm reading that one right now because I thought that would get me in the Olympics mood too. So.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, that's lovely. Yes. My book is not related to the Olympics or anything sweet at all. My first book is Bloodfire Baby.
Okay. Totally taking a 180 here.
I love that title.
Yeah.
By Eirinie Cairns, out on February 17th. So it's a creepy horror story, which you can probably tell by the title. I've been noticing a lot of horror written around mothers in the past few years, which makes a lot of sense because it is such an existential part of our story. In this tale, we have Sophia living far from where she is from in a nice suburb, imagining her wonderful life as a mom the way Instagram showed her it would be. But after her baby is born, she finds that reality is very different. When her husband leaves on a work trip, she is left utterly alone with a baby she hasn't even named yet. She starts to feel completely isolated. Why does she have to parent alone? Her husband is gone. Her best friend is not helping. Her zealot of a mother would only make things worse. What seems like postpartum depression soon becomes something more sinister. Between sleep deprivation and a strange internal darkness that is taking over, Sophia learns that there are generations of a curse on the eldest daughters of her family. She has to go back to her roots to figure out how she can fix this before her baby meets this ominous danger.
Thanks.
Yeah. S.A. Cosby says, Carson's Bloodfire baby arrives kicking and screaming with flames in its hair and lightning in its hands as it heralds a new powerful literary voice being born. Raw, honest, mysterious, and ultimately courageous, Bloodfire Baby is the book that will peel away your misconceptions and lay bare the power and the beauty of the feminine mystique, not to be missed. And Margaret Wilkerson Sexton adds, the most nuanced examination of postpartum I have ever read. Bloodfire Baby spans continents and generations in its kaleidoscopic portrayal of motherhood, race, and class. Rarely is a novel as propulsive as it is illuminating, but this is uncannily infused with a heavy, knowing dread that intensifies with each turning page. That expert pacing, along with the novel's exquisite language, depth, and scope, announces Carson as a refreshing and essential new voice in contemporary fiction.
Nice. Okay. All right. My next book is also very different from either of those first two. Crown City by Naomi Hirahara comes out February 17th. I don't tend to read a lot of mystery, but Hirahara's 2021 book, Clark and Division, had me captivated with its historical Chicago setting that was inspired by real events in World War II. I realized I'm a little behind because apparently she wrote a second book called Evergreen, which is a continuation of that family story, so I need to check that out. But now she's written a third book in this series, but Crown City appears to be a separate story altogether. This one is set in 1903 Pasadena, following 18-year-old Ryu, who has arrived from Japan after the deaths of his parents and starts working as an art dealer's apprentice. While trying to settle into the city among racial tension and violence, a studio's painting is stolen, and the artist, Pasadena's most successful Japanese artist, hires Ryu and his roommate Jack to investigate. But they soon find themselves in danger. Reviews on Storygraph indicate that this could appeal not to just mystery fans, but to historical fiction fans as well, as it's a well-researched book and is said to include cameos of real-life historical figures. Forward Review says, the language is evocative and immersive, lending lending weight to Ryu's observations, and real people and events add historical credence and narrative depth to the mystery. Crown City is a measured coming-of-age novel in which a man ponders what must be preserved for the sake of one's cultural identity.
Okay, now different from all of those. Let's see if we can keep it going.
Yeah.
No, eventually my books will get similar again. So Cristina Rivera Garza wrote Liliana's Invincible Summer that won the Pulitzer Prize. It is a story of her sister who went missing in the 90s and her desire to get justice. Her writing is so good, I have to take breaks because I'm afraid it will affect me too much. Mm-hmm. So I was really excited to see that she has a new book coming out in English on February 3rd called The Autobiography of Cotton. It is metafiction, which we all know I love. Through archive research, Rivera Garza talks about the transformation of the borderlands after the 1934 strike of cotton workers in Tamaulipas, Mexico. She chronicles generations of deprivation that have shaped both the ecosystem and the people who have lived and worked there. Using her own story interspersed with this historical background, the result is a compelling fictionalized story about labor, the environment, and the social impacts of this industry. Vanessa Angelica Villarreal says Rivera Garza is a mythmaker, archivist, historiographer, etymologist, and philosopher, reveals the blood-soaked blossom between parallel histories. Rooted in careful research, Autobiography of Cotton is a triumph of the critical and speculative imagination. Time called it one of the most anticipated books of 2026, adding that it is a sumptuous work of autofiction that plumbs the mirage-like landscapes of the border region and the frictions that simmer between neighboring nations. In dense lyrical prose, Rivera Garza weaves in an array of political and historical allusions, highlighting the human costs and environmental degradation caused by the cash crop that created our modern world.
Wow, great. That sounds very important. When does that come out? Sometime in February.
February 3rd.
Excellent. Okay. Gotta hop on that right away. All right. Where the Wildflowers Grow by Terah Shelton Harris comes out February 17th. We've talked about this author before on the podcast because she's also a collection development librarian, which we think is very cool. So Where the Wildflowers Grow is, as the publisher says, a story of survival and redemption that questions what it means to stop existing and start living. The description goes on to say that main character Li is the last of the wilds, and she watched them all die. It then says that the transport bus taking her to prison gets in an accident, killing everyone but her. So I have so many questions. What happened to the wild, and why did she watch? Why was she going to prison? What does she do next? According to the description, while on the search for a place to hide, she finds herself at a flower farm that unexpectedly holds a farm owner, Jackson, who helps and encourages her to face her tragedies. But the past can only stay the past for so long, and eventually her secrets catch up to her. Author Rhonda McKnight said, "Raw, tender, and utterly compelling, this vividly written novel is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. I lived inside this story, walking alongside Li through every shadow and every fragile bloom of hope. Immersive and powerful, it's a unique work of storytelling that reminds us that healing can be found in nature, in community, in love, and in facing the past."
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Okay, so since I brought in a mother horror story, maybe I should give a lighter alternative?
That might be a good idea.
Okay. So Bad Mom by E.J. Dickson is the societal concept of what it means to be a quote-unquote bad mom, from momfluencers, stage moms, and more. Each chapter talks about common bad mom tropes such as the MILF, the MLM hun, and then challenges the ideas around those stereotypes using humor and pop cultural references as a background. An eye-opening, thoughtful, and generous look at all kinds of motherhood, this book invites us to let go of the impossible standards associated with unattainable perfection and look into the true joy and magic of just momming. Sarah Peterson, author of Momfluenced, Inside the Maddening Picture-Perfect World of Influencer Culture, says, "In One Bad Mother, E.J. Dickson bravely dares to suggest that mothers are people. People who, despite undergoing the identity shifts that attends motherhood, do not willingly go gentle into the good night of nonsensical binaries and maternal mandates. The notion that there's such a thing as a good mother or a bad mother is hilarious indeed, and Dickson underscores her razor-sharp critiques of various forms of mommy propaganda with wit, nuance, and vulnerability. I am a good, bad mom, and I love this book. And Taylor Lorenz calls it brilliant, razor sharp, and hilarious. It will completely transform your views of motherhood. It's deeply researched and insightful and expertly dismantles the idea of the perfect mom. Dickson mixes real stories, pop culture, and smart commentary in a way that's revealing and totally relatable. She writes with heart, wit, and the kind of honesty that feels like talking to your smartest, funniest, most insightful friend. This book is perfect for any mother, father, soon-to-be parent, or reader with an interest in our cultural views on motherhood. I cannot recommend this book highly enough, and it is out on February 10th.
Nice. Sounds great. All right, my next one is Bad Asians by Lillian Li. It comes out February 17th. This is a story of 4 friends, Diana, Justin, Errol, and Vivian, who followed what they believed was the checklist to success. A good university, straight A's, hard work. But then they graduated in the 2008 recession and found themselves unemployed and living back at their parents' houses in what the publisher calls a hyper-competitive Chinese-American community. Along comes Grace, a now Harvard Law School dropout, who asked if she could make a documentary out of them. They agree, thinking, no one will ever see this. But lo and behold, the video goes on YouTube, and soon their personalities are out there with millions watching. Author Susan Choi says, the ugly underbelly of internet notoriety and whether or not it's survivable is the riveting question Bad Asians explores. And author Angie Kim said, Bad Asians is a richly drawn and emotionally honest novel that explores the complex entanglements between friendship and family, ambition and happiness, and childhood and adulthood. Lillian Li's writing is poignant, funny, and filled with keen observations. In short, a perfect read for anyone trying to make sense of our unsettled times. A beautiful novel that made me think, gasp, and laugh.
Gasp. Yes. How many novels make you gasp?
I know, right?
No.
Yeah.
I love that. Any book that makes me viscerally react in any way is wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to tie it all together. We're continuing my theme of reevaluating women's stories and doing something kind of horror-y at the same time, and it's nonfiction. It all comes together.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's talk about Elizabeth Bathory, allegedly the most prolific female serial killer of all time. This book is Blood Countess Murder, Betrayal, and the Making of a Monster by Shelley Puhak. This is out on February 17th. In this nonfiction true crime work, Puhak explores new information about the woman who allegedly tortured and killed over 650 girls, with morbid stories about her bathing in their blood. The legend has been retold for generations and may be an exaggerated game of telephone that may unveil a monster, a victim, or both. Booklist states, Puhak sifts through the confusing, often contradictory historical record to present what could be the most complete, most accurate portrait of Bathory we've ever seen. The research is impeccable, and the writing is richly textured, and most important, the author's empathy shines through. There is no remote historical figure. She's writing about this living, breathing woman who was not who we thought she was. A splendid exploration of one of history's most enduring enigmas. And Nancy Goldstone calls it a brilliant reprisal of the life and legend of Elizabeth, Countess of Bathory. Employing an engaging style and meticulous research, Puhak slices through 400 years of superstition and smears with the ease of a Renaissance knight on a noble quest for truth and justice. Both an invaluable contribution to scholarship and compelling true crime mystery. The Blood Countess makes for a fascinating read.
My last book I'm very excited for, Kin by Tayari Jones, comes out February 24th. First, if you haven't read Jones' American Marriage yet, please go read that. It's an incredible read about love, forgiveness, and wrongful conviction. And I was so excited when I heard Jones had a new book out. The publisher calls this one an unforgettable novel that sparkles with wit and intelligence and deep feeling about 2 lifelong friends whose worlds converge after many years apart in the face of a devastating tragedy. Vernice and Annie are best friends and neighbors growing up in Honeysuckle, Louisiana. Both motherless, Vernice is raised by a fierce aunt after her mother died, while Annie's mother abandoned her as a child. Vernice heads off to Spelman College, while Annie's story is a bit less clear, the description saying she sets off on a journey that will take her into a world of peril and adversity, as well as love and adventure, culminating in a battle for her life. Publisher Jordan Pavlin says this is a story of friendship, sisterhood, haunted hearts, the inequities and injustices of a fractured, indifferent nation. While author Ann Patchett says, Kin is the kind of all-encompassing reading experience I'm always hoping to find. Smart and funny and deftly profound, this is Tayari Jones's very best work. And a Kirkus-starred review says, beautifully written and powerfully compelling, Tayari Jones interrogates social injustice through the lens of personal relationships while exploring the ways in which it shapes those relationships. And she does this in language that is intimate, conversational, and musical all at once. All the titles mentioned can be found in a list in our episode description. Stop by on the first Tuesday of every month to hear about new books coming out dropping that month. That's our episode. Thanks for joining us for our new title drop, February 2026.